This it?
Oh,
Oh, we got to be at the line, I think.
okay.
You're cut across. Yeah. This way. This way. This way. Oh my god. No.
What?
I lose track of which order. Yeah.
We're different hats.
You got it.
We lost that road.
Yeah.
We know what to do now. And uh-oh. You got a yellow hat.
Go.
We did it. Honey, you have the hookah tobacco? Tobacco? You know where it is? The milk, for the milk. Put it inside. We have. It's always here.
Cost.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my god. Take the old out, but old has good also. Medicine inside also. Yeah. you listened to Jim Newman at all?
I haven't listened to Jim.
Yeah,
maybe
you
maybe
need to listen to
a
this.
few minutes of you
Yeah.
playing them, but yeah.
So I'll give a short introduction to sort of lay the groundwork of what we're talking about, the groundwork. There is no difference anywhere. All differences are apparent. So there's nothing here that isn't there. There isn't anything, there hasn't been something found that has apparently been lost there. Everything is of the same energy or the same no thingness, being chairs and walls and floor. It's whole, it's unified, it's undivided, it's singular. It's already that way. That includes any feelings, any thoughts, all the stuff. There's this thing called a me or a self or an I am. And its experiences, there are real differences. I am here and everything's out there. And for that experience, the thoughts and feelings are the real red flags that it likes to look at and try to manipulate in order to find a better experience. That sense is still not different. That is still the same no thingness that everything else is. What that means is that the experience of being separate, the experience of being an individual, the experience that I am in the body, I am separate from everything else, which engenders a sense that something needs to happen, that this needs to become something, that this isn't it, and what's longed for is somewhere else, is an illusion. Literally, it's an illusion. It's so much an illusion that it can't fall away. It can't disappear, or not as an experience. The whole experience that this is incomplete comes with that sense of being an individual. The sense of being an individual, an I or a me, comes out of a contracted energy in the body, which happens for no reason. And that contracted energy has the experience of being separate from everything. As I'm here, everything is there. And with that experience comes with it a sense that this is about me, and it's about my experience of becoming. That this isn't it, and what's longed for is somewhere else. It's actually part of that experience of separation is that what's longed for is hidden. It's hidden in something. Maybe it's hidden in this meeting and you'll get it. Maybe it's hidden behind the wall there or in these movements. It all has some sort of meaning or purpose. And that hidden is reflected in the experience that this is about me becoming something else, about me having a better experience. What we're talking about, though, I think, is, as I said at the beginning, there isn't a real difference. There are apparent differences. But there isn't a real difference. It's only in that dream of separation that difference seems to be real. The experience is I am real, what's happening is real, and everything else is real. And that experience overlooks, necessarily, there's no choice in it, it necessarily overlooks the undivided nature of everything, the whole of everything, the completeness that this is. Now, for that separate experience, it has within it the sense that if this is taken on as some sort of religion or some sort of process, which it isn't, then it will take on the sense of me as being wrong. It's always finding posts, signposts, guideposts, in order to find its way to what it thinks it is missing, to what it thinks will make this complete. And that need, that subject-object reality, necessarily overlooks the wholeness that this is already. It overlooks it because wholeness, undividedness, is obviously undivided. And if it's undivided, it's not a thing. And if it's not a thing, it can't be known, can't be experienced. But it's exactly the same there and there and there. You aren't special.
That one always hurts me.
It's the same. It's the same. It's
You
all
know what I
the
mean?
same.
That's the worst one.
undifferentiated whole.
That was Shelly. Shelly said she listened to this one because he posts new videos from his events that he does only or online Zoom meetings.
Okay.
So she said she had a shift from this,
Oh yeah.
but he always says the same thing every time. But when I heard that, when I
Yeah.
heard you are not special, it really confronts the ego because I see how much in myself there is like a special thinking about my experience and my relationship to what's going on, especially with the live streaming. So people are looking at me and watching me, but just generally that there's a specialness to me that makes me important, but it also makes me like burdened by the thoughts about myself. And I guess everybody feels they're,
I think
they're special in
everybody-
some way,
Yeah.
or they're unique, or they're important, or
Well-
they're valuable.
Nobody's, you're nothing's more real to any person than their life. Like they're the realest person in their life. I'm the realest person in my
Right.
life.
It's like another way to say you don't have a life,
Maybe.
or your life is an illusion, or the you that has a life is an illusion. That a life appears, but actually there's no you that appears. That's what Jim talks a
Yeah.
lot about. There's not actually a you that appears. It's just like there's no separation that appears, or there's no permanence that appears, even though
But there does appear.
seems to be.
Yeah.
It seems.
Right. Exactly.
But does the self appear? Or is it thoughts? Or is it contraction in the body? Or is it things, right? Because you
Yeah.
can't say that this thing isn't here, but you could say that this thing isn't owned by anybody or isn't separate from everything else. So to say that this thing is separate from everything else, like all the actions that went into making it this, is impossible. So in the same way that there's this self or there's this separate observer
Mhm.
is also impossible. Can you get a little bit closer,
Yeah.
Colin? And that's one of those things and when you start to do this work, it's like you're dismantling the ego.
Yeah.
But like me and my wife cuddle, but I don't think that me and you are going to cuddle. But if I'm not
Right.
real, then what? Well, why am I? We could cuddle, just like I was saying to you earlier.
Yeah. We could
just-
fight, or
We could fight to
fucking
the death
anything.
right now, right?
Yeah.
You're ready. You got your energy. I got my energy. We could do this. We could
Yeah.
see who's the winner here.
Uh-huh.
And if you ramp that up enough, actually, that energy and that thought, it can make it happen. It's not actually some special situation that makes it happen. It's just this you that makes that decision. It's just the ramping up of cause and conditions coming together, and then that's
Yeah.
happening.
The thought energy
Yeah.
around the thing happening builds and
Yeah.
builds and builds, and then the thing happens.
We're almost getting ready. We're at the brink here. So
But it's hard. This stuff is hard, because
well, yeah, it goes hard, just like Pop
It's-
Smoke.
Pop Smoke versus Jim Newman.
Well, Pop Smoke's Jim is still alive. But then Jim would say,
But
there
it's
is no
Jim alive. Yeah.
Yeah, there is no Jim. That's what
Right.
Jim will always say. There's no Jim Newman.
It's very abstract, and I can see like all this like abstract talking about the ultimate level. There's no Jim Newman or me or you or anything happening. But there's still a standpoint, there's still a build up of experience that is unique to a person.
Is there?
It sure
It seems like
there
that,
is,
right?
But
But it also like it's like a thought. So you would have a thought, if we were to talk about different thoughts, like us fighting to the death,
Yeah.
probably seems very unreal. But you going home today, that seems very real, right?
More likely.
Believable.
Yeah.
Believable. So it's actually just this kind of belief. So we're calling it a self. We're saying
Yeah.
there seems to be this real person, but actually it's just a belief in a thought.
Yeah, I totally see how the self is just, it's very much what Theodore says, right? It's ever changing, impermanent nature. It's just cause and effects.
Ever new as well. Ever
Yeah.
new.
Yeah.
Just cause and effect only.
That I can totally intellectually grasp the self is just cause and effect. But there's still a viewpoint that we take everything from. And then if we get to like, and he's taking it all from, so there's those two levels of the point. So he's talking from the ultimate, you know, widest level, like there's no Jim Newman, but he's still like.
But is that assumed up, right? Is that created?
How much do you?
Or is that original? So is it focusing
Yeah.
on what's created, and all these creations are ever new and
Yeah.
totally impermanent, or is it coming back to the original nature?
Yeah.
You know, the original nature of being or awareness, or just things as they are, like calling this as a mango. What does that mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything.
It means
It's just look over there. And it doesn't matter how solid it appears, it's in a process of it's not what it appears to be. It's changing. Like that is changing like a DMT hallucination or
it's not
something.
a stable,
actually.
reliable,
Yeah, you
permanent
just can't
thing.
perceive that.
Yeah.
But there's a perception that there is a you that is perceiving or can perceive, but actually reality can't be perceived. It's just appearances that we're calling reality. So what reality actually is totally unreal. And that unreality is like the nature. And I can feel as well, just sitting here, just listening to this, just being here with you, I can feel contractions in the body come up and go away, right? But for someone like Seattle, probably, that there aren't contractions that come up. So you can imagine yourself as never having no contraction. But that contraction is not physical in the sense of self. It's a contraction around grasping onto ideas as being real or being believable. So it's almost like when you get in this process, it's like you're learning to slap yourself. You're learning to see that the self is just a slap. And if you don't want to be slapped, drop self. If you don't want to go through birth and death, then drop birth and death. If you don't want to deal with suffering, then drop suffering.
Yeah.
But instead of dropping suffering, we come back again. Well, what about, but Jim, you do, what about Jim? What about you with your wife? But that's just an assumed up and a created up kind of dream that has nothing to do with what Jim actually is or what a mango actually is. Yeah, created viewpoint, temporary created viewpoint. So you could grasp onto that, but you can't grasp onto something that's ungraspable or ever changing, ever new, ever impermanent. So it's like the self or the you is just ignorance. And once you realize that the self is unreal, you can realize ignorance is unreal. You can be free from the whole duality of good and bad and right and wrong and this and that. Honey, how about the AC remote? It's on a table over there.
Oh, yeah, Dr. Rob, you see in the room.
Because I trap inside. Thank you, honey. Thank you so much.
Is it cold?
Yeah, very cold, right?
Oh,
Very cool.
There are some people who I just up there may come.
Little cold.
appearing as bodies and walls and chairs. This has no intrinsic need to become anything. It is already what's longed for. That never changes. It doesn't even move. That no thing that everything is doesn't go and come. There's no possibility of getting closer or further away. It is already everything. And in that way, that sense of separation is looking for a thing that it can experience, a thing that it can know.
So this kind of teaching is like going to
Because it's experience.
this is helping. This would help you like cultivate like the
Oh, we
not
gotta get that. Wait,
the
wait, wait, wait. Emergency! Fire! Set off all alarms.
Huh?
Wow. Emergency. Okay.
How to clean it up.
Just pick because the carpet's not good. It's not a good carpet, so it's okay. Just scribble around with it. Fire! Fire! Whoa!
Look at that. Darling.
Burn a little bit.
Oh.
So we have to use the air purifier. We have to use the air purifier. Finally have a good reason to use it. Shout out to Mac guy Tanner.
Shit.
Is this okay?
Little burn.
It's good. No, it's good. So you were saying
I
about
think.
this kind of thing?
Yeah, I guess it would help you.
Yeah. Huh? Ooh, hot.
Who do that?
Mm.
Dr. Rob.
This kind of advanced non-duality teaching, it's helping you see like the anicca and the anatta, the impermanence and non-self of everything. And then the effect of that is you would stop clinging to it, and then you would,
Well, that's the story for the self.
yeah.
So Jim would probably say what I just said, right? That's not actually happening because there's not actually someone for that to happen to. Just like this mango here is not permanently existing, even though it seems to be so permanent, so real, because it's just nothing appearing. And then for the self is actually not even nothing appearing. The self is just a false notion or a false idea that doesn't have any thingness to it.
But you still have to have you, whatever. There still have to be the conditions for you to see that and practice it. Like you don't. There's like a caught upness that we are like by default in. Default idea that we are someone, some true story, some real person, and it takes different causes to get the effect where there is not that perception.
But this is in relationship to the I. Whereas doing good deeds or generosity or volunteering or cleaning your body, washing your face in the morning is not in relationship to the I. So this would go along in the ways of leading people on. So the Dhamma teacher role is to not lead people on.
Okay.
But sometimes they lead people on out of compassion or wisdom,
What would they be doing other than leading people on?
pointing out their nature itself or the irrelevance of self itself.
because leading on, there's like some intention there, some desire to change.
For
something.
someone to get something, right?
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
you saying that you have something to deal with, that you have to have something to deal with, is based in this you that's an illusion.
So the whole path would be just less attaching less and less to that idea.
Yeah.
Because there is a path.
So I,
You know, there's a pathless path.
yeah,
right?
so I would say what Jim Newman is doing by teaching like this and sharing like this
Yeah.
is from what I would call it, and maybe he would say, no, that's not what it is, that's not what I say, but this is what I say.
Yeah.
It's teaching right meditation, the right way
Okay.
to meditate, which is not grasping onto any of the whole shebang. But actually, we can hold the relative and the absolute without attachment.
Yeah.
We can use the relative and the absolute without attachment. But when we start to talk in this vein or in this dynamic, that's when those things, those you paradigms can be pointed to, and then you come back to detachment. And you can really question, you can really challenge, you really investigate for yourself. Because this is just you in yourself trying to realize your true self that is already what you are. So this is as much a dream as a dream. This is not more or less a dream than a dream. And that's the wakeful state, the why we talk about this profoundness and this deepness and this amazingness. How amazing, how amazing. Because in this dream, you can be awake. Then you're not dreaming anymore. In the story, in the story.
Is finding and having and owning are the way I become what's longed for. But unfortunately for that experience, it overlooks necessarily, because what's longed for isn't separate. It overlooks the wholeness that this is.
So this is when it gets into the way of your deep practice or your deep dynamic of you doing these different things that are not in this frame of duality of the self-intellect. So you're like worshiping a guru, you're invoking a guru, or you're asking a guru for help in a way to be totally beyond the small self-dualistic paradigms, and you're going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into that. So that's like a guru yoga or a tantric practice. And then you have, the Zen way or the traditional Theravada way is like you're doing that through the meditation.
It isn't about you. It can't be. It isn't about anything. If it's about anything, it's about loss. But it's a loss that doesn't really happen. There isn't the dream of the individual and the experience of being here is the experience of I know I'm here. That knowing I'm here is something that it feels like it has. and all the other myriad of ideas of what it has and beliefs about the meaning and purpose of this appearance. It's thinner than thin. It's unreal, like completely. So it's about the loss of all of that, but in the end, it isn't about loss because none of that is actually had. There isn't anything outside of what is. This is the whole of everything. This is what no thing looks like. This is perfection appearing. And in that sense, it's already done. It isn't done in the way that that separate experience would like it to be done because it can't have it. But what's longed for is this. It's no thing appearing. Same. Yeah. Yeah. Mm. It is. Yeah. 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 It's all about you.
It's all about you.
When you finished the introduction, what you said to me once on the phone, where you said the me gets vulnerability back to front. Yes, it does. Vulnerability is weakness. Yeah. But you said vulnerability, but there's nothing to protect. That's right. And that's what this is the innocence. Absolutely. Yeah.
So the innocence of having nothing to protect and the problematic nature of everything being about you. Because then you have to think, all these thoughts have to constantly perpetuate themselves because everything that's experienced is about you. But when this is just nothing appearing, when this is totally what's longed for, there's no need for you. There's no need for anything to be about you.
So you can't even say nothing to protect there because there isn't a there. Well, there's an apparent there. Yeah. But there's nothing to protect, not in the way we're talking about. The whole personal identity and all of that value that it has, that it feels like it needs to protect, is an illusion.
So this is also in the way of the fear response or the protection response, and what seems to be a relief of there being so much to protect and manage and develop, and the release of all of that is just freedom. There's not really a release of that, but it's just freedom. It's just nothing appearing as everything. And the process that we go through in this is that we get more and more out of the box of there actually being something for us to fear and how totally illusory that is. And the reason that we try to put other people into this box, like hell and heaven, is because we are compulsively in that box, seem to be, of there actually being something real to feel, fear, or to feel other than this, which is everything, which is nothing, which is totally what's longed for and what's wanted already. So you can't get what you want because you already have it. Because there's no one to have anything. And then as that goes further and further along, there's nothing to fear. It's impossible for there to be something for you to fear. And so this totally restructures not just your internal thinking process, but it totally restructures your life. to be just already everything totally finished. You know, that's why the Buddha said the state of the Buddha, the Arhat, is what has had to be done is done.
Mhm.
That's also why they kind of say that if you get to that state, or if you become an Arhat, you either become a nun or a monk, or you jump off the bridge. Because there's nowhere for you to go. There's nothing for you to do. There's no you to do anything. So all you could do is just take care. Shelley said, doesn't mean we should go off the rails and run down the street naked, but it's a realization that is already there.
It doesn't matter. I think I said that it's equally, there's no difference. It's just an appearance of no thing. So the need to protect is an appearance of no thing. So it doesn't, in that way, it doesn't matter.
I'm not saying it's wrong, but what I am saying is, well, what I haven't said is what I'm thinking is, it's a job in a way,
Yeah.
but with my whole apparent life, there was this strong, if armored kind of, in charge, you kept using the term of hard shell.
I just want to make a video for Jim. Hey, Jim. Nobody's here. There's no Jim. Honey, you don't exist. Can you say hello to Jim? I make the short video for Jim. Here, come here. Show Jim you don't exist.
Hello, Zim. Back finish.
Okay, finish. All right, thank you.
So that's
Yeah.
And it's like my whole apparent life, I've been this armored shell.
Yeah.
And it was, yeah, the whole protecting was for nothing, it wasn't
Yeah.
protecting anyone really.
Yeah. But in the end, there's nothing lost. There isn't a whole life to lose, or time as a protective shell, or anything else. No thing isn't in any way interested in the way the personal is. It is fulfillment in action. So even protection and hard shelling is the same no thingness, same wholeness.
So when you give that response, so I've got no idea why you're saying that to me.
Oh yeah, me either.
Oh, you don't.
Oh right. Yeah. It sounds so woo. There's something here that just is a little edgy, but the whole thing is energetic. So the response isn't really to what's said, it's where what's said comes from.
That's what I was going to ask. You can sense what's going on.
Well, I don't, but
You don't.
yeah.
It sensed what's going on here.
Well, not really. It's not that differentiated. It's just a response to an energy. That's all that happens, actually. That's already all that happens.
Oh, you mean the whole appearance?
The whole appearance, absolutely. No one does anything, and it's all innocent.
The idea,
What's that?
like they,
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
so there is no event.
Well, there are apparent events, but there's no event of an end of me, because there isn't a me. There's no event of this becoming whole or complete. It's not an event.
events as experience.
There are apparent events, yeah.
There's no actual movement.
There's apparent movement, there's no actual anything. There's nowhere to hang your hat.
So it's only there are events for those experiences. I feel that there's a change.
Well, there's apparent change, but in the whole is just nothing or no thing appearing to happen.
Or there are
See, this is all there is.
And you said described media as contracted energy.
Yeah,
Would you say in a situation of really danger when the body reacts?
no, it's got nothing to do with that. Because this will react or respond if a bear walks by. Yeah. No, it's an added energy, it's an added tension. And the tension, although it is how the me arises, it's actually the sense. So for no one, when a bear walks by to no one, the body just responds. When there's someone, the body responds, and the me has a sense that it has something to do with it, that it has something to make with it. It has a story about what it means that a bear walked by.
Would you say that there's like a maybe certain traumatizations, the traumas in the body with or without them would still
Yeah.
mostly the same way?
Yeah.
And maybe if there is like a mind that gets anxious easily, also is anxious to ask a question.
Not so much. There are traumas, but what you're talking about is self-image, and that, of course, if there isn't anyone trying to protect a self-image.
Yeah, no, I just meant like certain, if the body works in a certain way.
Yeah, but in particular, asking questions or being in front of others is the experience that there's an individual in front of others and has something to protect, something to present.
Yeah.
When there isn't anyone here,
And so the apparent sadhana or samaya or practice, it takes the appearance of being unsatisfied in not doing anything. And that's just the subtle tendency of grasping and looking for something that doesn't allow this full release to take place. Or we're kind of, we don't, it's like when I was talking about going to bed and laying down instead of watching videos and just being with the breath and using the mantra, I have arrived, I am home, and just going deeper into that, what appears to be suffering or unsatisfactoriness, so that you can decouple yourself from feelings and senses. So you can decouple this constant grasping and this constant affiliation with how things seem to be. So that it doesn't matter how things seem to be, they just seem to be that way. And that allows this realization, not really to take place, but seemingly to take place, of nothing. That nothing is fine, that there's not anything that needs to be done, that everything that's longed for is already, instead of trying to get that thing or seek after that thing that's longed for, because there actually is no thing that's longed for. So it's like a process of mental purification happening.
Just getting all the shit out. Just,
Yeah.
Out of the way.
Yeah, and then everything tastes better and
Dirt
feels
from the
better,
eyes.
and the dirt from the eyes
Yeah.
diminishing. But you had all this dirt in your eyes, but you weren't aware, so you weren't bothered by it. Now you experience all this dirt in your eyes, and it's bothering, but that's actually like the blinking process taking place.
And you gotta sit with that, or with the suffering.
Because
right? And
because
be with it.
because all kinds of appearances, right? I mean, this is everything, but everything is a lot of things in everything. So that grasping, okay, I want that thing, I don't want that thing, is exactly what's being released with this embracing of dukkha. So for a layperson, for a person like you and me, we're more in line with, we want to turn all dukkha into happiness, into sukha.
Yeah.
And so that's the no mud, no lotus. So we're looking at mud and saying there's a problem here. But actually, mud is the solution to not having a lotus. Mud is the process of the lotus growing. Do you concur?
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
So there isn't any other. There are no enemies.
So what you say that when the need is inherently dropping, that the trauma, which is what I think basically a social thing, a relationship thing, that this drops.
No, not necessarily. The social thing, of course it would, because there's no more social.
Yeah.
But there's something, I mean, I don't know what I'm talking about, just so you know, but somewhere in here is the understanding that there's something, for an example, there's something in the brain called the amygdala, which is responsible when one is growing up for registering traumatic experiences. That would still be in there, even if there wasn't anyone. That's just apparently physical.
Yeah.
But there isn't, the me makes a story out of everything, becomes neurotic about trauma. And so that wouldn't be there anymore.
But with but I think the basic trauma thing is like a social thing, not like something happened in childhood and then there's like one thing, but like the father never had like enough emotional capacity.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, but that's all, that whole genre is just a story about a person.
yeah.
What I'm talking about is something that would be more physical, that would be held sort of things.
Yeah.
But that whole sad story, there isn't anyone that has that story anymore.
Yeah, but is it not like the personality which is there, which was growing up, and then you are in a relationship for a wife or someone?
Yeah, but that's you're just telling me a story. You're just telling me a story. Yeah. So when there isn't anyone, the body just has or does what it does.
Yeah.
But there just isn't anyone telling a story about it or experiencing a story about it.
No, it's still the relationship.
But there isn't a relationship.
Yeah. There isn't a relationship like from outside, you know, like if you have a wife or like, let's say here the meat would drop and I still have my life with my wife and everything, and I'm a traumatized kid. So how can I say, the relationship between me and her
Yeah.
still,
But there isn't one. If there isn't anyone there wouldn't be a relationship.
yeah, but still you're talking with her.
Yeah, but there's still no relationship. It's just talking.
Yeah, but the way you're talking,
Yeah.
even if you don't call it a relationship, of course there's no relationship, but the way you're talking, the way you're acting, the way like the emotional thing is working in you, still.
It isn't. It isn't. Not in that way. What you're talking about is when there's that contracted energy of being a person, emotions feel like they're personal. And so there's this energy going back and forth with emotions. They're actually,
Hey, Jim.
I'm not gonna say it, but anyway, emotions.
Nobody's
don't-
here.
When there isn't anyone, they don't.
There's no Jim.
They just literally
Honey.
just went through.
You don't exist. Can you say hello to Jim? I make the short video for Jim. Here, come here.
That's personal.
Is that coming out?
Show Jim you don't exist.
You say?
Well, it's not an emotion.
So then, okay,
Oh, there's plenty of emotions that just don't happen to anyone.
yeah, but they still happen.
But some do, some don't. Here, I don't know, I haven't asked a lot of people, but there isn't a lot going. It's not like it used to be. It was very important, the emotions. Thoughts and emotions were very important, especially being a spiritual seeker. They all had a lot of value, getting the right ones and not having them, and yeah. But like we're talking right now, it sounds like something else is important. And that's the story of me. Sitting in a room isn't enough. There's something else that's important that needs to be worked out and understood. And That's the experience of the individual navigating what is. This being all there is threatening to the individual because it doesn't have a plan to navigate. If the individual isn't actually afraid of unknowing, it's afraid of losing what it knows. And so sitting in this room is a position of knowing where it is. Not knowing where it is terrifying. No plan. As in a personal way, this makes plans,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you mean because I'm speaking about something which is not here in the room?
No, it's not, because then we can talk about things that aren't here in the room, that's all right. But you're trying to navigate a relationship, you're trying to work out how to do it properly or what it's like when there isn't anyone. And that's just me trying to, feel secure, know what the right direction is, know how to find what it feels that it wants or needs.
Yeah. I'm just curious, it's crazy because the me can't really drop because it's not there.
Yeah,
So it's irrelevant anyway
Yeah.
to speak about it.
yeah, in a way.
But if there's someone who says there's no me here,
Yeah, I wouldn't believe them.
no.
No.
So that means that the emotional thing and all these things which has been producing the person, which doesn't.
It's not like that. The whole story of a me appears in what is. There never is anything else.
Yeah.
That's why there isn't actually a shift, not a real shift from me to know me, because there is only one. One thing that, here anyway, it came up with, it's always been this way.
Yeah.
Would you say there is never a recognition that there is no me
No.
at some point?
Well, it depends what you mean. The end of me isn't an event. There isn't someone there noticing that the me is leaving. But in the story of Jim, there were sort of things like that. Yeah. But the end isn't like anything.
I feel like maybe sometimes there was no me, but you cannot check out actually,
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it. It's not as special or as solid as it seems to be.
Yeah, it was more like thinking, maybe certain dynamics were going on for some time. Well, I think that's not right.
Won't be able to explain it if you can't. That'll be what you think it was like.
That's the thing, that's
Yeah, I can't tell you what it's like.
yeah. There's
And you can't tell me either.
something that's
No.
because they can transcend.
Yeah, well, the me would. If there's someone there.
Yeah, maybe just out of curiosity, how was the story for you?
Awful.
The seeking and that need.
Yeah, seeking sucks.
Or what would happen?
You want to know Jim's story?
If you don't know.
It's not very interesting. So related to this, in the story, in my early 20s, there was an awakening, completely uninitiated, no ideas about any of this stuff. So it just blew it away. And I had no idea, just no idea. And so when it happened, it was like, oh shit, it was awesome and awful. And when it was like I wanted it to go, that awakening to stop, and then when it stopped, I wanted it back. And, you know, then there's teachers out there that tell you, I can show you how. And so I started following a teacher and did that for a while. And really, I was a terrible, terrible student. But, you know, you take on all the belief systems and everything that because they're telling you they can help you find what it was. And yeah, I don't know what's interesting about any of that. And then there were realizations and all of it seemed, the story of the me for the me is special. So whatever's happening is special. And so there were realizations and other things, and, you know, whatever context it was in, it would be identified as this or that or the other.
But then nothing to do with,
Nothing has anything to, I know it's unbelievable, but it's already done. Nothing has anything to do with what we're talking about, because no thing is already everything. First off, the whole is much simpler than the me's experience of it. The me has all these stories out there explaining how this came to be. This didn't come to be. It didn't come from anywhere, and it isn't going anywhere. It's just a simple appearance of no thing. And in that story, it's trying to find solutions to all of those things.
So hello. Hello, hello. 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 Hello, hello. Hello, 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 hello. 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 Hello, hello, hello. Hello. Okay, hello. Okay, so just imagine, Colin, imagine if okay, hello, hello, hello. Okay, Colin, so just imagine if, or anyone out there, if you were in this situation, but then you hadn't slept for 2 days, and it was also super hot and muggy, and you were getting assaulted by mosquitoes, and there was nothing of to ground on. So those kinds of experiences also, it helps you be receptive to contentment and to appreciation of what's already there.
The intense suffering experience.
Yeah, yeah. Because you sit here and you say you're bored, right? I'm not saying that to you, but we sit here and we say, well, this is
I say that.
Yeah,
sometimes,
yeah. You know, we say we're bored, right?
Yeah.
But actually there's so much here to be content about, to appreciate, to value. And when you go through that intense, you know, meditation retreats or like following my teacher, I was thinking about that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, there's Dharma around, there's monks and nuns around. You want to meditate, you want to know about the truth, you put your headphones in, you're listening to Dharma talk, but it's just hell everywhere. So somehow that the intensity of horribleness of our experiences when it's concerned with awakening, it helps us be more in line with awakening in the more normal or neutral or even pleasant experience. You know, it also can be very pleasant experiences because you can get lost in the pleasantness. Oh, this is so pleasurable. This is so great. Everything is going so well. And then you're lost in that kind of, self situation. So it's almost like you need to experience nightmares to wake up from dreams.
It almost is, I don't know what you would think of this analogy, but it's like a little bit like hitting bottom maybe, or like, like a drug addict. Or
Yeah,
something. Has
yeah,
to
it's like
really
hitting bottom.
fucking bottom out.
Yeah,
And then,
yeah.
but it seems like it happens like that sometimes, that people will have like a really, really intense experience of suffering, and that will maybe more contentment in the wake of that.
Yeah.
Or, yeah.
Or the value of that which doesn't seem to be stimulating. Because in our normal lives, we're just what has value is what
Just
stimulates
trying to be
us.
stimulated all
Yeah.
the time. Yeah.
Hello. 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 Oi. Okay. Okay. We got it. We're back, everybody. I think. Yeah. Oi. It's very sensitive. Very sensitive and very loud, everybody. That's the way we like it, right?
Which you think is going to get it closer to what we're talking about, which is already true here. And it doesn't.
Maybe becoming really close to its chest.
It's just,
Not that.
but that's the whole thing. It doesn't matter.
And then it doesn't matter, it also doesn't matter.
That's right. Yeah.
Everything, anything. Colin can eat everything and anything.
Yeah, the distance between you and everything else.
So there isn't anyone here. Yeah.
So there is no distance.
But I mean, that body is apparently, over there, and this body is apparently over here. That's just an appearance, though. It's not real. What's that?
There's nobody at home.
There's no one home. That's some other meaning, something. So the experience of separation is a dream. But the appearance of things apparently happens.
Yeah, I'm curious. I heard in one of your videos that you were afraid of the plane, or that it could bring fear.
Huh.
I do when I fly.
Yeah.
And I was wondering before the illusion of the knee drop.
Also the value of inescapability. There's no way for you to escape. There's nowhere for you to go. And so you can do that in a meditation retreat, like a 10-day Vipassana retreat, where you've made a commitment to do this, and then you're sociologically being pressured by the other people and the idea that it's good for you. But it's a whole different situation. You put on the robes, you become a monk or something, you give up your life, right? And now you're in the forests of Myanmar, sweating balls with food poisoning. Nobody around barely even speaks the language.
Yeah.
There is nowhere for you to go. All you can do is confront yourself. And so that position where there's nothing that, and this is also like people take ayahuasca and things like that, they get in that situation. There's nothing to do but for you to confront and be confronted by yourself.
It's harder to confront yourself in the world.
Yeah.
Because you get so much other shit to spend your time.
And that's the value in being in a world of Buddha Dhamma Sangha, or being in a world that's about enlightenment, rather than being in a world that's about, how much money can I make so I can have a nice house, so I can live in a nice place, so I don't have to worry, so I can do whatever I want to do.
Yeah.
And then the yogi position is, I just want to be free. So however I can be free here and now is what I want to do.
You have a rooster here too.
Yeah, somehow we can hear it. Somebody made a comment, they said, how can somebody be in a position to receive the generosity of others if they can't even receive the generosity of a rooster?
Wow.
So that's also like being worthy of offerings, being worthy of worthy of someone being willing to help you do things. You have to be willing, the more you're willing to receive everything, the more that makes sense. And it's not this kind of contract or expectation or implication, like you're here, so, you better donate. You better, you're here, I'm paying the bills, so you better do something. You better do what I tell you to do. I'm your parent, I'm providing for all your needs, so you better listen to me, rather than listening to each other through a mutual want to support and to give, and just this opportunity to give that's not personal and not interpersonal. Because the opportunity to give, when it's personal, when it's interpersonal, has all this ego baggage about it. But when you're just giving, it's actually a way to be free from all of the baggage. All of
And
the
the giving
complications.
isn't tainted with anything.
Yeah,
You're
but-
actually giving. Because
but-
if you give something to try to get something, it's not a real gift, I don't think.
well, you do it from yourself. It's not about that other person.
That-
Because if it's about that other person, then now you have to bring that other person's imagined mind into your mind.
Yeah,
When you're just doing giving,
yeah,
we think about it in terms of, people donating to me. Clearly I'm living just quite well, but people donating to people in need, people in poverty, people that are on the streets, people that don't have clean water to drink, etc. The children who don't have a choice but to be where they are.
yeah.
Not even to think about how much the other person is giving. That might inspire you to give, like you have a partner, or you have a community, or you care about children, so you're inspired to give, but then that action of giving is basically non-dual. It's outside of the personality. It's self-sacrificial. It's an opportunity for you to give up yourself, to let go of
Yeah.
yourself, to be free from yourself.
How was it lived, and is there a difference today?
So the me lives in a context, and the context is its understanding or experience of what's happening. And that context includes the whole story about who it is and what it is. And so it's always in this frenzy. It's an energetic frenzy to know what is, to know what's happening. It's a sense of control. And so if that knowing seems to be threatened, it becomes nervous or uncomfortable.
And today, you don't get nervous or
It just doesn't have any relevance. It can be anything. There can be anything appearing, but it just doesn't happen for anyone.
okay, so there is still like a reaction of not being in control.
Like, well, it is impossible to be in control. But for the individual, the dream is I'm in control. This doesn't even know where it is. So being in control doesn't even come up.
So there's just sitting.
There is just, but there. Yeah.
And in the brain, like, move
So this is a good pointing for, it's not that, but the seeming appearance of the enlightened ego or the enlightened self. So where Jim is saying that this, which is not talking about himself, but this doesn't even know where it is. This has no knowing about what's happening or who's here or anything like that, because this is in and through unknowing. So then that enlightened persona is not a persona at all. It's more like getting the wisdom or the teachings from inanimate objects. This doesn't know who's here. This doesn't know what's going on, and yet here this is. And so we say, well, this cup is more valuable or less valuable than me or you, human life, right? But if this cup was made of gold, depending on where you are, this cup would most certainly the weight of this cup would most certainly not have less value than human life. And of course, the value of gold is assumed up, it's created. You take a gold cup to an uncontacted tribe in the Indian islands or something, the gold doesn't mean anything there. It's just created. It's just assumed up. And the ego, like the personality view, the self view, is just totally out of control. It can seem to be more or less out of control, right? But the basis of it is it's mine. This is my body. Well, I can touch it, I can grab it, right? So it's always under threat. right? Possession is always under threat, right? This is
Yeah.
my mind, and yet my mind is everywhere, and there's other minds around there, so it's always under threat. When you release that operating principle and practice of mind, you have a lot more access to understanding to realize what's being talked about here. That's why all the accumulation of possessions, if you're using it for yourself, it's like you're creating a prison for yourself. All these things you have to carry. That's why all these young people, Western people, are going around and backpacking and traveling and having, $70 in their bank account as they live in Thailand and are trying to sell silver rings online to people in the UK. Because they're in a prison of their possessions. Their want to possess, the possibility of possession, when in reality, nothing can be possessed. Nothing can be owned by yourself. So that's why I find so much value doing the live streamings and just sharing and giving out, because in a way, it's like I'm giving all of my possessions. Like I use these things much more for other people than I use for just myself. And anyways, even if I have all these things and I just use them for myself, it gets exhausting. It gets tiring. You can't even
It's
enjoy
not
it.
satisfying.
Yeah, it's not satisfying. I want to be satisfied when I watch Invincible season 4, which is great. I don't know if you've ever seen Invincible,
No.
but this season is bonkers. I'm a big anime fan. I want to be satisfied when I do that. But if I'm always using everything for myself, then that access to satisfaction is basically broken, because human satisfaction comes from community. It comes from giving. I would have never gotten here, if not for giving and forgiving.
It's loosening that pressure that you would have holding on to things or yourself or ideas, is all that pressure and clinging and then all the suffering. And if you're just giving away
That pressure is released,
freely, you don't
then
have
you
to-
can enjoy it without all that added pressure, because it's not just mine. I'm using this for myself. I need to do this. I can do this,
Yeah.
but I don't have to.
not dependent on things.
Right? When you're good, Master Yonghua, when you're good or, you'll be happy or. But being good isn't related to like this social stratum of business and personal success and interpersonal psychology. Goodness is related to your ability to be bigger than yourself. Because you might be fine with living in a way and being in a way that causes you to suffer, but nobody else would want that. Nobody in the entire world would want to be around somebody that makes them suffer more. So if you're good or, you're happy or. And this is something that's just this taught to children, but adults don't embody that, so they can't really transmit that, especially in the West. What is being good in the West? And so it's a backwards mentality. When you don't know about this view, you don't have a culture that's connected to this view. So all of this will seem like vague, word salad nonsense. Where if somebody was talking about, some scam to make money or to take advantage of other people and or some way to be successful in getting money from other people or status from other people, or some hyper convoluted personal psychology ideas, everybody would say, wow, this is so interesting. This is so specific and real. But actually, that is the stuff that's not very useful, actually. That's why they give SSRIs and stuff to kids that show up with depression, because they come from an abusive home. If this whole psychology and all that kind of stuff worked, you'd be able to sit down and talk about it and work it out and work through it. But it doesn't work, so that's why they use these complicated, medicines and things like that. Especially for kids, giving kids talk about, right? What's the biggest conservative talking point and right wing talking point? We're doing gender transformations on children. We're blocking children from having puberty. How about giving experimental SSRI medication to children because they have bad parents, or because they have a difficult living situation? that's a lot more realistic and practical to talk about than the 1 in a million, trans men family that's helping their child to not to put off puberty. And so this is very delicate because the right view is basically all inclusive. So it doesn't need to be what Jim's doing. It doesn't need to be what you're doing. It doesn't need to be what I'm doing. It's free. It's open. Everything can be talked about and worked through. So like one teacher said, to get a glimpse or to get an insight, old Zen master, is relatively easy. You say, what? You have a kind of a whatever, but to actually develop discernment, to be able to use without attachment various principles and practices for doing all kinds of good deeds, that's very, very difficult. And that's my deal with Shiva. I don't care how many glimpses he has or how much he identifies with like this Dharma eye or this wisdom eye or this awareness eye. If you don't have proper discernment, deep discernment, then it's irresponsible for you to be a leader or to try and direct people in these different directions, because it's probably coming from greed, anger, delusion, etc. Out of a want, a need for more and more and this thing and that thing. So there should never be a spiritual teacher. I really like this Tibetan teaching from this guy called the Chainsaw Lama. And he talked about how, like, if you have a guru or a teacher and you're donating to them so that they can live their life, so that they can take care of themselves, that's totally wrong. Because a guru or a spiritual teacher should be at such a high level of like blessings and merit. They can do anything. They could go be a CEO. They could go be a doctor. They could go be anything and make a whole bunch of money. So rather, it's actually the guru should be in a position where they're giving you an opportunity to donate. That it's not benefiting them, it's benefiting you. Because you're practicing self-sacrifice, you're letting go of yourself, or you're letting go of your attachment concerned with awakening. And of course, that can be very convenient to the self of the student, to the self of the teacher, but to wisdom or non-self, which is what it's all about, it's not convenient or inconvenient. But still operating from that self modality, yeah, there's more and less skillful ways to shit. It's like with opiates. I'm thinking of nicotine. I'm thinking about opiates, right? More, more, more. Woof! I'm really having a good time. Honey, go down to the pharmacy. Right? But what you find out, this more, 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 well, you get a cancer or you get a headache, you get dizzy, you get whatever.
Yeah.
And I would recommend you to try, brother, because I think that they do say that nicotine is actually not
Try what?
what?
Try what?
Oh, that nicotine
Yeah.
is not it's like good, it's somewhat good for the brain, but of course smoke isn't, right? For the lungs and all that. See? Exactly, see? And so I tried that when I went to Cambodia. I don't know if you visit Cambodia, but they have the Zins because they have a factory in Thailand. So you can get a box of Zins for like
Yeah.
$2, $3. And I'm telling you,
I
man,
had the Zins recently, actually.
I'm telling you, they're expensive here. Here they're like maybe, what's 200,000? Like $5
It's
or
like
$8, yeah. So of course, just going off from the smoking cigarettes, it's a big difference, right?
Yeah.
But once you start to use them and practice with those, actually the want to smoke is not there anymore, and it has its own kind of enjoyable thing.
You're still getting the nicotine. I think the nicotine is the part that one would really like.
It
'cause you get
triggers-
some. I don't know. What do you think?
It triggers the habit.
the nicotine triggers.
Yeah,
the
because
habit.
the nicotine is just I mean, what's going on in the brain? We don't know, right? So it's our body is sending a signal that there's something it would like to have that it doesn't have, right? But it actually doesn't have anything to do with the smoking of the cigarette. So when I was using the Zins, because I bought like $30 or like $50 of Zins, I should have bought $100 of Zins.
Yes.
Brought them over the border.
Yeah.
That when I wasn't using them, that little trigger that said, hey, have a cigarette will be nice, that ritual is nice. But when I was using the Zins, that entire thing wasn't there. There was no idea like, oh, I want to have a smoke
Yeah.
or I want to be in that ritual.
Well, I've quit smoking before using gum
Yeah,
and stuff, and that desire to smoke does go away.
Yeah.
But then
You got to keep at it.
if you break,
Yeah.
like I made it. Actually, quit smoking right before I came out here, and then picked it back up once I lived here. But
Well, that's the thing. You go to the coffee shops, you're hanging around, everybody's smoking.
it's a big part of the
But-
culture. Yeah.
But then if you have the Zins in,
Yeah.
you see them doing that, and actually you don't want to smoke. And then,
Yeah.
unless you have a hookah, in your house or whatever,
Yeah.
then you go out and you see people smoking, and there's this kind of intuition that actually it's not about smoking, it's about this process going on. Because when you
It's a
just
circuit.
yeah, it's a circuit going. So when you're just like smoking pack after pack and day after day and stuff, when you see them doing that, you say, oh, that's this action of having a smoke, seeing it come in, feeling it go in, right?
Yeah.
And then going out. But and that's what I found. I didn't get that trigger like, oh, I also want to have a cigarette. It wasn't there.
Yeah, because the nicotine that's the addictive part. So if you're satisfying the nicotine,
Yeah.
that's the physical part.
Yeah.
And it's just different methods of delivery. I went cold turkey. I made it about 2 weeks. No, I only made it one. This was in December.
But I would say it's more of a health thing. I mean, you're doing all kinds of different coping mechanisms in your life. As a layperson and
Oh,
just
yeah.
you're making deals with yourself to live in a certain way, to be in a certain way with certain people because of the benefits and stuff.
Just
So-
acting out and trying to, Big part of it is like a restlessness and an inability to sit and do nothing.
Yeah.
You act out.
But you're not going to be able to sit and do nothing. So if something that you're using is going to be like nicotine, then do it in a more health conscious way
Yeah.
as it relates to your body. Because the smoke, I
You
mean,
might
to
as well.
smoke all the time, it can't be that good.
No, definitely not. Well, maybe I'll.
Maybe we'll take
I'm
a trip to
probably-
Cambodia and bring over
Get some
$100
Zins.
worth of Zins. Yeah.
How did you like Camp? Did you go around and explore it much over there?
I did
don't-
not. Some person I met, I talked to, and they said, I definitely felt what you said.
The darkness.
Yeah, but one of these people, they said, like this is 100% not the real Cambodia, like Phnom Penh or wherever I was at.
That's probably true. It's the big capital city.
But it's all the yeah, same like in China. A lot of that Chinese.
Cambodia's like China. Yeah, China's developing Cambodia. I think.
It's like a colony. They're basically letting it be a colony so that the king and queen and stuff and those people can just get tons of money.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, that sounds about right.
we were gonna go into a casino. We were walking by, but
Yeah.
Hung was like, "No, we can't go in there. It's not very dark energy."
Yeah. It is a dark energy over there.
Okay, what's Jim have to say?
They're just sitting. They're just what happens. They're shaking, whatever. So there's no story that emerges. There's no one. It's not about the story and the individual are the same, and so there isn't a story without an individual. Everything is just simply what it is, apparently. That doesn't negate, well, it's in some way you could say that any emotion could arise, any feeling. It just doesn't have any value. It's just what arises.
But it's more spontaneous.
It isn't more spontaneous. Everything is already spontaneous. The whole is already timeless. Spontaneity. The individual lives in a dream of an experienced continuity. That's what is. Appearing as a continuity. There isn't in that way an experienced continuity, not a real experienced continuity. It's a dream that the individual, that the experience was, it got to Vienna and got to this room, and that it will get something or not, and then leave. That's just that as a solid, because there's a functioning here that gets to Vienna and does all those things, but there isn't that continuity of experience.
There's no relation.
There isn't any. Not in that way. It's just everything.
So if they are playing with you,
Excuse me?
if they are playing
Yes.
with you, with your appearance on board questions, then nothing happens.
Oh, well, there might be some, I don't know, is there pain? Probably it's too fast. It'd just be dying, I guess. Dead body, burning, screaming, I don't know.
It happens no more.
Yeah, but just to be clear, that's already the case. There just isn't anyone, it's a dream. There isn't anyone sitting there. There isn't anyone understanding what we're talking about. It's an add-on. It's a dream world.
It's not a story.
It is the only story. I am is the only story. It's simple. What's longed for is this.
Yeah, I was thinking about ask you why something.
Yeah.
I heard your voice in my head saying,
No.
why anything?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just like, why anything?
Yeah, absolutely.
How is that love?
Because it doesn't care.
I don't get that.
No, it's the same with vulnerability. The me thinks caring is love.
Not caring is love.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm only not talking about a personal position of not caring.
No, exactly. No, not at all. No.
But I don't get the not caring.
Yeah. Well, caring is a value system about because the individual has things that are important that it judges as important and things that aren't. Cares about some things and not others. So it's conditional. It's this and not that. It's personal.
And not caring you're talking about, is that because it's not real?
No, because it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter because it's not going on in time.
Well, it's just not going anywhere. It doesn't. The individual lives in the part of the dream is there's a need for this to become. And it's dream. Every body has their own dream of what becoming means and what the right becoming would be. And so it's invested. It feels like it matters because it's not there yet. It has hope that it will get wherever that is, the dream says it will go. So it cares. It's important. And when there isn't anyone, there isn't any need for this to become anything. It's obviously already whole. It's obviously already what's longed for.
So the real world is basically like a trap. So
Oh, yeah.
so the children that don't have a real world, they're just kind of in the flow. you can see how much total access they have to joy
Yeah.
and freedom
Yeah,
and
yeah,
making their lives the way that they, whatever it is, they're in the flow of it. But as we develop this mindset that there is this real world, it actually doesn't allow us, or it restricts us from making the world be the way that we want it to be. Oh, I have to keep sitting here. I have to be in this position of the body. I have to be in this way. I have to be in that way. It's been like ingrained into us. When actually, just as much as somebody like Colin, my friend Colin here, my brother Colin here, is sitting here, he can go lay on the floor and do make snow angels. Hung's not going to be disturbed by that. I'm not going to be disturbed by that. It sounds like a good idea, for me.
Yeah.
So it might be a good idea for anybody else. And it's the same with like this live stream, right? So this live stream has a lower latency than that live stream. But this is reality for you in the way that you are seeing it. There's no closer to reality. There's no closer to enlightenment. These are just dreams of the self, dreams of the identity, dreams of the ego, just a dream. And if you really want your processes and your reality to be the way that you want it to be, you have to drop dreaming. You have to wake up. Of course, you can't wake up. Which is a relief. Just in the same way that you can't be in a certain position. You can't feel a certain way. You can't be or do anything because it's all instantaneous. It's all happening out of nowhere. It's all happening without localization. Just seems to be local. Like your body seems to have a local place separate from the earth.
Trying to get onto that earlier.
But that's impossible. We're as much a part of Earth as trees are a part of Earth, literally. Literally doesn't even get to it. This is as much what a tree is to the Earth as what the moon is to the Earth. That's reality. That's science. And the efficacy of science is that there's no solid knowing. There's no real knowing. Now, in real knowing, you have like logic, like mathematical logic, but that's only logical as much as it works. If it was in a different environment or a different situation, then it wouldn't necessarily work. So it's kind of a false logic or a conditional logic. But the basis of the general sciences is that everything is a theory because there's always new information. We can always look more deeply. There's no point where science will say, okay, we figured it out.
Final meaning or whatever is always deferred. It's just infinitely receding horizon. There's no like end point.
Yeah, that's just a thought.
It's just a story.
Yeah.
That there
As
was.
well as what you're saying as well, just a thought.
Yeah.
It's like
anything.
The highest principle, and it goes back to what that old Zen master would say about if I was around when Buddha was born, I would have grabbed that little boy and I would have fed him to the dogs so that this whole situation could be avoided.
This whole situation of what, like
Buddhism,
hearing about the
seeking
thing and then seeking
this
it.
and that and that and that, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you seek and then you realize there's nothing to find, kind of thing.
Which is very problematic for the ego, for the self.
Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible. I mean, that's probably why you jump off the bridge if you're an arahat.
Well, you
Because
find
it was nothing the whole time.
Well, you'll find it in positivity as much as you find it in negativity, right? There's parts of ourselves, there's parts of possibility of experiencing that we don't want to get because that'll be unsatisfactory. But in terms of wisdom, in terms of the truth, you can get the best experience that you want. You can be Logan Paul and you still won't be satisfied.
Yeah.
You could have $1 million, you still won't be satisfied unless you're free from seeking. And you is just seeking, so it's just free. It's just nothing appearing.
I liked what you said about it's a trap. I was reading the Hillside Hermitage PDF. And it was saying that same kind of thing at the first chapter of this book was just like you're in like the lion enclosure, always liable to
What happens?
getting
What
got.
appears? Yeah.
Yeah.
You're always in a trap. You're always on edge because you have this attachment to the body or this contraction of the body that you could call attachment always needs to protect itself, needs to protect itself from being too hot, from being too cold, from being hungry, from being thirsty, from having to pee. That's where it goes into what Jim Newman was saying about intimacy and vulnerability, that vulnerability is actually innocence, and innocence is freedom. You can't blame innocence. That's the nature of innocence. There's no blame in it. There's no shame. You can't shame innocence.
Because there's no need for it to become. It doesn't have any value.
It just feel like, I was saying before, it just feel like a battle inside me.
Oh, yeah.
You're talking about, yeah, obviously,
Yeah.
we've got the meeting, yes.
No, right, yeah.
It's like, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
And then it's like,
You don't need to hear or understand what's being said to listen. That's why the nature is so important. The bird sound, the natural sound, the wind sound, because there's no need for you to understand it or to cognize about it for you to listen to it. It's the same with the Dharma talks. There's no need for you to understand what's being said, to listen. And that listening is more free from the ego, free from the identity, which doesn't even exist, so you can't be free from it. Otherwise, everybody would be Buddhist, or everybody would be a meditator, or everybody would listen to this and stuff. So, wow, this is about being free from myself. There's not actually a self there to be free from. So that's how everyone can kind of disregard it. And it takes a lot of blessings to not disregard it. And instead to disregard yourself or your contraction, the body's contraction.
Yeah.
I relate to myself in the battle.
What about me? Yeah.
It relates to me at all.
Yeah. No, it doesn't.
Yes, you're nothing. I'm nothing. It's a joke. It's a cosmic joke. It's a spontaneous, ever present, ever new, ever changing joke. You're nothing. I'm nothing. I have no status. I have no relevance. You have no status. You have no relevance. The you is just nothing. But if you believe in that, that's just you believing in that, or nothing appearing to believe in that. If you realize that, it's, well, how would you describe it?
Describe
If
what?
you realize that, if you say, oh, you get a glimpse, you say, whoa,
That I'm nothing?
yeah, or that nothing's going on, or that there's no self, there's no real person and a real true story.
Well,
As an
it can be
experience.
very freeing and very happy, and also very like destabilizing and you know.
It's spooky.
I
Anything can
had-
happen.
I had like a bit of a something where like I was looking for myself for a certain amount of time, and I couldn't
You couldn't find yourself.
find it. And that was a little spooky, but also very happy. A kind of blessing of irrelevance,
Yeah.
you know?
And how would you describe that, the blessing of irrelevance?
It's the freedom from having to have things mean something or be somewhere.
Yeah.
It's because then if you need something to be somewhere and then they're not that way, then it's terrible. And even if they are that way, that's also going to be suffering.
But how is
But
that
if it's-
experienced? How is that
It's
experienced?
experienced.
Would you say? Thank you, courage. Courage is the cure.
The experience of what I'm trying to follow.
Well, the experience of what you're describing in terms of the blessing of irrelevance. How does that appear in experience? Because one of the things that happens is that we adopt all these sayings, we grab onto all these sayings, and
Oh,
that
yeah.
gives ourself a place to understand or not understand. Same, it's equal. Understanding and not understanding are equal.
Make a different story with all the new terms and stuff.
Yeah.
And new,
Yeah. And so then if you're going through this process of inquiry or investigation, you have to watch out
Yeah.
for that trickster, that clown
Yeah.
that's saying, well, you know, it's this way, it's that way, etc. Because that just goes on forever and ever. But the blessing of irrelevance is kind of like something that gives away forever. It gives away the need for forever. It gives away the need for yourself.
I would just say it feels okay.
Yeah. And
It's a little more like feeling okay with whatever is kind of
do you feel okay?
No, not in that, not when that feeling is really there. That would be prior to
Yeah, prior to viewing.
to the main-
Prior to viewing.
Yeah. But that's a hard one. It's like helpful to slow it down because the you comes in so fast sometimes.
Well, it's very helpful. Well, that's why it's helpful to speed it up.
Mm.
So when you sit, I've seen you sitting in that half lotus position,
Yeah,
right? So when you sit like this and then full lotus, if you can do it,
probably can.
that's going to speed up the situation of experiencing with the pain. So the pain is
Yeah.
actually not consistent. The pain is not happening consistently. It's woo, so it's happening so fast that it's ungraspable. And you're learning, that's vipassana as well. That's why you have to have the samatha to have vipassana. You have to have that deep well-being and presence, not to be free from pain, but to experience the oscillation of happening and not happening, and then to,
Like the stillness and the quietness.
well, it's
Is the samatha-
it's not a position. So when you're getting in the pain, the suffering that goes along with the pain is the subjective identification with that position. But that
Uh-huh.
position is actually unstable and changing. But the self, if you want to call it that, can't see the freedom from itself. So the vipassana, the special seeing with detachment, it allows you to see the impermanence of pain. It allows you to see the impermanence of sensations. It allows you to see the impermanence of thoughts. Seemingly.
Because you see the circuit kind of rise and fall
Yeah.
so many times that you can get some distance from.
Well, yeah, you call
Involvement.
you're seemingly you're developing detachment, but there's no self all along. There's no real you all along.
It's just cause and effect. It's just a process.
Yeah, just
working
cause and
itself
effect
out,
only,
but it's
right? So it's
independently.
being aware of cause and effect only, and then developing the sciences. This is like the Buddhism. It's like a science of not suffering or a science of happiness. So I was sitting here. I was listening to that talk by Thich Nhat Hanh,
Mm.
and I was feeling immense pain. And he was talking about the no mud, no lotus, knowing how to use suffering well. So when I was sitting there doing that, I could feel this access to generating happiness with that energy of suffering. So to know how to generate happiness is very important. Instead of going into the lower, the negative mental states.
Yeah.
So that you can use that without attachment to do more vipassana, to see more clearly. A happy birthday, Snarfville, from Shelly and me and Colin and Hung. Happy birthday out there, Snarfville. If it was your birthday recently, happy birthday.
Yes, to what you're saying, because like,
No, no. Me would never say yes to this. Excuse me?
where is that sense of listening or yes or
It's just no thing. It's just no thing resonating with nothing.
just what is
Yeah. Well, everything is what it is. Even the me and the experience of being separate is what it is.
so the feeling of
So that was, can I ask you again about that? So you were sitting in the lotus, half lotus, listening to Thich Nhat Hanh, and the pain was coming up,
Yeah.
and there was that kind of transforming the pain into the dukkha into sukha kind of thing, maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I sit and the pain comes up, what you did there was you sat with the pain.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. That's something to practice.
It's something to practice, but this is why we take refuge in the Buddha, the Dhamma, the Sangha, the meditation masters. We don't just try to like meditate alone and force ourselves to meditate alone. Because if you're taking like this is Master Yong Hua's technique, if you're taking refuge in a meditation master, you're not meditating alone. Right?
That's funny because the one time I meditated well recently was just had his stream up where he was just
And
meditating.
that makes sense. That's how it'll work. So if you're trying to meditate with the pain, which is essential,
Yeah.
you can get into conflict with yourself. So now you're fighting yourself. But if you're just fighting yourself with yourself, you're likely to get yourself into some trouble. If you're fighting yourself with the Buddha,
someone.
the Dhamma, the
Yeah,
Sangha,
okay.
someone who's already farther along on that,
Right.
then their technology, in a sense, overrides your ego grasping technology. You can reach out more, you can do more.
Yeah, you've got something greater than yourself that you can. It's that faith there that allows.
Well, that faith allows the connection to take place.
Mhm.
Because when we're sitting here together, well, we're just sharing each other's thoughts or we're sharing each other's intellect. But actually, we're energetically, interfusing hollow sphere. If we smoked a bunch of weed, we'd have a panic attack. When we smoked a bunch of DMT, we'd be
Hell
phasing
no.
through each other, going through the hell realms together, hiding in the bathroom from one another because our worst fears are going out into the environment. Yeah, freaking out entirely, right? So you can do a little bit more in a shorter period of time when you take refuge and you listen to these kind of Dharma masters, which just have an internal technology that's being conveyed in their presence, much less so in their language or their way of speaking. Then we say, well, what's next? But actually, there doesn't have to be anything next. And that's the joy of what is already here is what is sought for. So then you cut, seemingly, that string of seeking into receiving, almost. Receiving everything
Opening.
that's already longed for, and then giving as well, because the receiving alone is enough, because then you develop another contraction state of self, of mind, of body. And that's why what Luang Por from Wat Ram Bodhidham, his entire method is this blessing and this giving method. Where you saw me, he's standing out there and you know,
Yeah.
everything, using words like everything or irrelevant or forgiveness, forgive, and giving
That
that out.
forgiveness one resonates a lot with me.
But you have to give forgiveness, because if you can't receive forgiveness, right? But actually, it's beyond the duality of giving and receiving. So, like his temple in Thailand, which, you know, we can go and visit these places. We can know that these
would be
places
good.
are there, not just in terms of our mentality of I'm listening to Dharma talks, I'm doing this, but actually it's an overwhelming resource, like a treasure store. You have
That's
to
how
know
it
it's a
feels.
treasure store. You have to fit, yeah. And
Yeah.
there's an internal treasure store, but the external can mirror that. And so all over the center, there's these big, like, bird feeders. They look like big bird feeders with a bunch of water in them, and then these scoops. And so you wake up in the morning, and like this morning, I woke up, I went to the chocolate chip cookie from the great matcha place down the street. And then I went and laid down and fell asleep again with Hung because she wasn't up yet. So, but over there, the technique, right? You wake up, you open out, you take one of these pitchers, scoop it,
Yeah.
and you slowly pour out the water. And this gives you the water, and the water flowing out. It actually gives you this kind of release experience,
Yeah.
this connection to release, and then you give that out.
You got it.
No, yeah, you give it.
Do that. Yeah.
And you open up the hand, because the hands have so much karma in them, right? You've done so many evil things with your hands, right? So you.
This is the Our Father in the Catholic.
Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven.
Lots of releasing and,
Yeah.
and going there. Yeah.
And then they say, don't drift, right? Out, out, out. So you're doubling down, you're tripling down. It's like your bet, like you won on blackjack a little bit.
Yeah.
You're releasing, and then you double down in the bet, and wow, 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 wow. And so you exercise with that, like, course giving or that course opening out, and then that becomes more subtle. It becomes like the master that he's always looking at. He's looking at people like that, as he's pouring the water. Looking at like 50, 60, 100 people that are following him on this walk, and he's turning around and literally, that's what he looks like. He's great. He's real cool.
Totally emptied out.
But what happens here in these kind of Sangha environments where people have this big vision is they just get incomprehensibly busy internally with their giving and their freeing. So now that attracts these other people, and there are all these people around them, serving them, wanting to be around them, crazy people, wise people, wealthy people. Everybody's coming because everybody wants a piece of the pie.
Yeah.
And then there can be seemingly a lack of accessibility. And what Westerners need is they need more accessibility to being on the path in a way where they can actually connect. So there's just like one group or two group or three groups that have been at all successful in creating, in-depth, rich Western Sanghas.
Yeah.
It's just a handful of groups.
Where are that?
Well, you have Plum Village, you have Thich Nhat Hanh's
Yeah.
tradition. He has centers you could go there, man.
Yeah,
They'd
that's
love you
very
there.
interesting.
You'd have a lot of good food for you over there. There's the Soto Zen, American Zen tradition,
Okay.
where they're really
Was
big.
that your first?
It's the first dip in, 1
Yeah.
year process there.
Uh-huh.
And their big thing is kind of volunteering, work practice, sitting in the meditation hall facing the wall, very warm, dark
Face of the
atmosphere,
wall, yeah.
Japanese chanting. And then you have some of these secular traditions like John Kabat-Zinn and
Yeah.
like Insight Society.
Cornfield and
Jack Corn, yeah, I think Jack
yeah.
Cornfield was Insight Society or something. And that's about it, actually. In terms of like robust, like you can be someone who's grounded and serious. You want to go live there and volunteer and train.
Yeah.
Just a handful of places.
Yeah. That's just not. It makes sense that there wouldn't be.
Well, it's not our society. It's not our
Yes,
culture's
yeah.
belief or tendency to look towards those kinds of things. Thank you, KK, for the donation. Good for you.
Yeah.
Jim, I think you said in the video once, when it was all like apparently all over, it was so obvious, it's like, how did it remember doing this?
Yeah, totally. It's the one place no one would ever look.
Where was that? That's everyone.
No one looking.
Yeah, you can't see everything because the looking is everything.
Well, but all there is everything. The individual lives in a particular reality related to its experience of what's happening. But really, there's just everything. This is everything.
You see what?
Well, the individual sees something, and this is everything.
When you say nothing, everything, is there any distinction between all these words?
Yeah. So no thing is this would be, the what's meant by this is no thing thinging, no thing chairing or flooring. And everything is just how it is when there isn't anyone. The floor is just everything, or that is just everything. There isn't any sort of sense that there's something else. So me lives in a world of this and something else. And something else is hope, where it feels like what's longed for is hidden behind something or in something. Yeah. There are distinctions without a difference.
When you say this,
Yeah.
it's coming from nothing, it's
Everything is no thing. It doesn't come from no thing, it is
it's
nothing.
not two things.
There's not. Well, apparently, there's apparently that and this, but they're both no thing.
No thing means that there is no body, no flow, no shape. So the idea that I care about
No, nothing is wrong. It's impossible to get it wrong because it's not about anything. You can't get it right either. But I'm sorry, I missed it. What are you saying? Okay. No, the dream is that this is wrong. There's something intrinsically incomplete, wrong, needy about this. It's a bodily felt sensation. It's in the body and a sensation which isn't recognized until it falls away of this. It's doing this all the time, trying to find more. When that separate energy, that me, appears,
Okay.
there's a sense of something being missing. There's a sense
Okay.
of some sort of loss.
Big shout out to KK with the $10 here. KK says, topic of discussion, feminine energy versus masculine energy, or how we're human beings, not human doings, and getting caught up in the performance of things, please. Stop thingifying experience. Stop thinking about thinking or not thinking. Stop thinking about anything. Stop thinking about stopping thoughts. Everything. Use the word everything. Don't use words like that. Don't use words like that. Just use the word everything, everything, everything. Otherwise, you get yourself trapped into these words, and you can trap other people in these words as well, which is a very high karmic problem. You get a karmic punishment from that. So you have to listen before you speak. Otherwise, you just be listening to your own thoughts. I told my wife, I told her, if she falls in love with another woman, who am I to stand in between that?
Oh, yes, Mama.
But in terms of me, I'm just fine the way that I am. And being nobody.
And it's that the whole energy behind it is to try to find or find enough. It doesn't really know what it's looking for. So what it does is it just wants more.
It's taking also care of the body.
Yeah, the body, it does it all on its own. The body does. They're a little bit better than there is in the meal.
But the body is something real.
No, nothing is, not in that way. Nothing is real. The energy of real, I know you can't understand what I'm talking about. I know it. Because here, they were just words.
Thank you, KK.
What does all that mean? But it still is that way. That this isn't real, nor is it unreal.
That's it.
What's that?
Just stop going on.
Well, it already isn't really going on. It only apparently goes on. So the end of the appearance isn't a real happening because there's no real happening of appearance. It's just what appears. It's just no thing appearing.
Is the body is the same dream as the eye? It's like
No, it isn't. No. The eye is the experience of either having a body or being in the body. And part of that dream is that it goes on. So when this body dies, there's something that goes on, all that sort of stuff. My hairdresser asked me once, she's really curious about this, but somehow doesn't want to ask a real question. She's a Christian. I live in Jesus land. And so there's a lot of Jesus people. And so she asked, and she says, all right, so where do we go when we die? And not being too, like, we talk here in sort of a funny way, you know, because we're talking very specific. So to her, I said, we already are where we go when we die. Nothing happens. It's a dream. Yeah, I don't think she knows what to think of me, really. She doesn't know what to do with it. She carries on. I didn't chop my head off.
right?
I know.
Just controlling where your head comes.
Yeah. She keeps, it's really, really sweet. She keeps asking questions, from a distance.
That's what you talk about.
In a way, I'm not really sure. It's been a couple of years, and every once in a while, okay, but what about this?
You got the answer.
I don't know. I don't think she does actually.
There is no need to go, no need to go, no need to go, and no need to stay. Oh, what great joy, the great way.
Julie said earlier, the flow is everything, the chair is everything.
Yeah.
Isn't it? That is it. So that's attention.
Oh, it's not. It's actually the end of attention.
Yeah.
Attention is this and something else.
Attention is this and something.
Yeah. The tension, not attention, but tension. The me is this and something else.
So look, that's where attention is.
So, the role of the great master, I'm thinking about Seattle, I'm thinking about my teacher. So, I'm sitting there, I'm trying to practice, I'm trying to go through it, I'm trying to wake up. He doesn't care. He can't care. But my ego can't understand that because it's looking in an interpersonal way. So I make up this identity for that which doesn't have an identity. And then I think about those kinds of things. But actually, just staying or just going is what this is all about. Freedom. That this is everything and nothing, and neither everything nor is it nothing. But that identity that we give to the person we're watching or practicing with or whatever is an illusion. You might as well think that that person is a corn cob, and then you get all these. What we're used to is all this interpersonal manipulation from advertising companies, from witches and warlocks. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to make Colin donate, make Colin donate, make Colin donate. I'm going to hope it's going to work. But the practice is to detach. And so when we come together as spiritual practitioners, the offering, the donation, the giving that we do with each other is to not create or to uncreate the creations that we form in the mind about this other person, and most importantly about ourselves. Continuously, spontaneously. There's a great Zen saying, because this novice at the temple, they were walking around. And they came across this old monk, 70 years old, 80 years old. And it was the middle of the day and it was boiling hot, 80, 90 degrees old, hot. And so he went up to him and he said, what's, master or venerable, old teacher, it's, you're out here, you're doing this work. What are you doing? This is not a good way to do it, right? The master looked at him and said, when it's hot, let the heat kill you. When it's cold, let the heat kill you. When dinner's ready, let it kill you. Let everything kill you. And the spiritual practice position is allowing everything to kill you, to end you. So you're not the heat, but the heat is right there. So what are you going to do about it? Let it give the ending. Let it give the resolution to the whole situation. And then we learn not to discriminate or seek so much for a particular temperature, for particular experience. There's no need. We have everything that we need to kill ourselves or to give the ending, you know, in a video game or in whatever, to let go. In GTA 5 or whatever. Honey, the dinner ready soon? Okay, when you ready, we will go.
There there isn't an actual beginning or end to anything. Oh, yeah. Forget that. Forget the internet. We'll talk about something else.
You say the chair you take, or floor here.
Yeah.
That's where, for example, for separated E, the attention's falling to, front separated.
Yeah. But for the individual, the floor is the floor in a context of everything else. The story of me, my position in relationship to the floor.
Floor is a separate experience or event.
Yeah. Rather than all there is. Yeah.
Floor that has a
Yeah. It avoids intimacy.
So you sit up straight, you don't smoke the weed, you don't drink the alcohol because it gives the mind a runway to just spiral around and do whatever it wants. So I say, fuck the mind, fuck Rob, fuck Dr. Rob, fuck Colin. I'm not going to say fuck dinner. I'm not going to say fuck the wonderful actions of all the wonderful people because cause and effect is very real. But this self is just like a runaway train of compulsive thinking. And when we sit up straight and we're alert and we're aware, we're listening to Jim, we're taking in the full scope of presence, the mind doesn't have any space to run away or to go on and on. Wow. Thank you so much, Jim. Thank you very, very much,
Thanks
Jim.
for nothing.
That's right. That's correct. It's very, very correct.
You know, people, I guess forever I will be the redneck guy. I was just doing a tour with Larry the Cable Guy and Bill Engvall, and I was sitting in the dressing room one night doing the redneck calendar, the Page a Day calendar, and Larry popped in my room. He goes, "How long you been doing them things?" And I said, "I wrote the first one in 1990, so what, 23 years, I guess." And he goes, "How do you keep coming up with redneck jokes?" And I looked at him. I said, "There's no research going on. It is my family." To that end, let me share this story with you. Back early in the fall, my wife and I got an invitation to my cousin Sherry's wedding in Alabama. And we got the feeling that it was a hurry-up wedding because the invitation was a fax. And at the bottom they had written BYOLC, which we learned meant bring your own lawn chair, because they were getting married in her parents' backyard, because I guess the OBGYN had told them they didn't have 6 weeks to wait on a church. So my mom was at my house that day, so I started making jokes about it being a hurry-up wedding. Well, my mother got mad. My mother said, "Don't you dare say anything about Sherry. She is the sweetest girl alive. She never tells anybody no about anything." Pretty much why we're having to go to Alabama now. But my mother knows everything. So I said, "Mom, how did she even meet this guy?" And my mother said, "Well, they met in a laundromat." See, right there, it's anointed by God. Apparently, Sherry needed change for the dryer. And she said, this guy, Dustin, came over and gave her half a roll of quarters. Just gave it to her. Which by then, under Alabama law, I think she was required to have sex with him. So but my mom wants to go to this wedding, and she doesn't drive on the interstate or through swamps, so she wants us to take her. And I can't tell my mom no, and so I'm like, all right, we'll go to the wedding. Well, immediately my mom starts pitching for us to stay at my Uncle Ray Ray and Aunt Tina's house. And I don't want to do that because I'm allergic to ferrets. And so I say to my mom, I said, Mom, why don't we just stop at the Motel 6 in Dothan, Alabama? And my mother said, and I quote, well, I don't want people thinking we're uppity. Which in my family is a possibility. One year, my brother brought 3 buckets of Kentucky Fried Chicken to the family reunion, and all day long, people were like, what's up, Donald Trump? So at the risk of being uppity, we stopped at the Motel 6 in Dothan. And if I had known that it was chili cook-off weekend in Dothan, I would have called ahead and made a reservation because they only had 1 room available. And from the smell of it, some of the past chili cook-off winners had stayed there. But when the lady at the desk said 1 room, I'm thinking in my mind 2 double beds. Well, we get to the room and there is 1 queen-size bed for me, my wife, and my mother. And my wife's not real happy. She knows she's in the middle. Yeah, she's the Berlin Wall. Because if I wake up spooning with the wrong person, it is going to take years of therapy to get me back right again. When you learn stuff when you're on the road. Well, that night I learned that the walls of the Motel 6 in Dothan, Alabama are apparently made out of toilet paper because the couple in the room next to us liked each other a lot and loudly. And me, my wife, and my mother lay in that queen-size bed and listened to them like each other for an hour and a half. At which point my wife tapped me and said, you need to do something. I said, I'm about to walk next door and ask for his autograph. An hour and a half? Well, that's 3 years' work for me. Well, the next morning we're getting ready and I hear them leaving the room and I want to see them. You know, because you listen to it, you have this mental image. So I run over and I crack the door and peek out in the hall. Oh, Lord, I wish I'd never done it. Y'all, they were biggins. Big. I think half the moaning and groaning was them trying to take their socks off. Well, we leave the Motel 6. We drive down to my Uncle Wayne's house. Cars are parked all down the street. So as we're walking up the driveway to the house, there's a pickup truck in the driveway. And I'm looking and it looks like somebody's passed out against the passenger window. And I'm like, what the heck? And I walk up. In the passenger seat of this truck with the seatbelt on is a dead deer. You can't make this up. And the doors are locked. I go in the house, I said, what's the story with the deer in the truck? My cousin Scott said, we hid it on the way over here, but I didn't want to leave it in the bed because I thought somebody might steal it. He thinks somebody's going to steal a dead deer at the family wedding. Well, we visit a little while, then they tell everybody to grab their lawn chairs. We go out in the backyard where they're going to have the ceremony. They have decided that the altar for the wedding is going to be the redwood deck of the above-ground pool. You might be a redneck. And the entire pool and deck are covered in colored Christmas lights. So I leaned over to my brother. I said, hey, I wonder how long it took to put up the wedding decorations. And my brother said, well, we were here 2 years ago when they were up then, so I don't think they ever come down. They get ready for the ceremony. My cousin Sherry comes out in a snow white dress, 8 months pregnant, in a snow white dress. I'm looking for a big star or 3 wise men riding camels up the driveway or something. The irony is lost on my mother, who tapped me and said, that's the same dress her mother got married in. And I'm doing the math, and the only answer I can come up with is ho squared. So When we get through the ceremony, the guy that was the best man is now the DJ. He's wearing his tuxedo pants and no shirt. He is lighting firecrackers with his cigarette and throwing them at Sherry's grandmother's feet just to hear her cuss. And she's good. Sherry's mother, Donna, is walking around with a styrofoam cooler that's filled with Ziploc bags of birdseed because she said Sherry read online that if you give the birds, if you throw rice, the birds will eat it. And then when they drink water, that rice will expand and it'll kill the birds. So she wants everybody to throw birdseed, which we did. And to this day, I haven't had the heart to tell her 2 hours after they left, her little brothers were in the front yard with pellet guns shooting the birds while they ate the birdseed. But they get in the car. Now, most people just drive off, not my relatives. They get in Dustin's Camaro and proceed to do donuts in my Uncle Wayne's yard. Third time around, her door flies open. I'm standing next to her grandmother who threw her beer on the ground and said, if this lasts 6 months, I'll kiss a good man's ass. So, Jeff, where do you come up with all of those redneck jokes? And here's the other thing. I'm not only a redneck and come from world-class rednecks, I'm married into world-class rednecks. My wife and her entire family are from the great state of Louisiana. So, anybody from Louisiana? Yeah? What do you think about this electricity? This is something else, isn't it? It's pretty cool. Don't touch it, it gets real hot and stuff. Where are you from in Louisiana? South Louisiana. My wife's from New Orleans. You from like the Cajun country there? South Louisiana, yeah. The greatest food on the planet Earth, Louisiana, as long as you don't ask a lot of questions. As long as there's a ditch on the side of the road, nobody is going hungry in Louisiana. I mean, with my wife's relatives, you're like, man, this is great. What is it? They're like, you don't want to know. Put your little more hot sauce on it. Keep chewing that city boy. Come on, give me a clue. Does it swim? Does it fly? Maybe it do it, maybe it don't. You just keep eating it. See them big boiling pots with a wooden spoon going, get back in there right now.
Okay, so it's dinner time, everybody. Why don't we? It's dinner time, everybody. So why don't we?
Thorniest social issues.
Yes.
Your religion is relevant. Your spiritual advice, your spiritual guidance gives you clarity. When so many other people are going, well, the world's a mess. I don't ever read the news. Buddhists read the news and we don't fight. We hear it. That's a powerful statement for the world. Keep going quickly. Here we go.
Oh, this is a good one.
Instead of stealing, I even catch the thoughts of greed. So I don't steal, but I also don't greed. That clarifies all of my...
All right, everybody. Okay, all right. I get it. So it's dinner time. The venerable and honorable Sangha member, Miss Hung, has prepared a meal for our honored guest and for her honored husband. So we're going to go and have our meal, but I want to share first. I want everybody to see the meal, the beautiful, wonderful meal that Hung has prepared. And then we're going to do what we do, which is eat. And later on, we'll all let it go, right? It'll all come out on the other side, probably a brown color. My Zen master, freely. One of my Zen masters, Venerable Poha Sunim, he made a joke one time about, I just need to get enough donations to have a good shit. So some people who are interested in gastronomy, because when you're more mindful, you're more aware of what goes in and what comes out. So everybody, I want you to take a look at this meal. And this is a great time to practice a sympathetic joy. So you can really say, wow, what a good meal for the Sangha today. Okay. And we'll come and sit. Everybody, please call in the honorable seat. And we'll just do a prayer together before we eat. Just do a prayer. It's a sugar-free root beer.
Sassy.
Okay, so we do our prayer. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa. You got it, Colin. Bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddham saranam gacchami. Sadamam saranam gacchami. Sangam saranam gacchami. Dutiyampi Buddham saranam gacchami. Dutiyampi Dhammam saranam gacchami. Dutiyampi Sangham saranam gacchami. Tatiyampi Buddham saranam gacchami. Tatiyampi Dhammam saranam gacchami. Tatiyampi Sangham saranam gacchami. May we all be exceedingly grateful for this food that is offered. May any living beings that have come across this plate find their way to the Pure Land, find their way to a human life. May this food not be a source of pleasure or entertainment, but may we eat it in the same way that we would eat our only child if we were on a desert road with no other option to get to the other side but to consume our child. May we eat in a similar way here, not for pleasure, but to help us continue on our path of ending suffering in ourselves and in others. May whatever karmic debt we have be paid back. And may this energy from this meal be used to pay back that karmic debt and to benefit all beings throughout all time, everywhere. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Looks really great, huh?
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
When that's sweet. Oh. That's why I couldn't put it in one. Then all of Speaking of you want to try? Oh. is a Vietnam food. Mm.
Women, they like to see the men eat, right? They enjoy, right?
Mm.
But for a man, I don't think I've ever thought about enjoying seeing
Enjoying
anyone
watching
eat.
someone eat now.
Yeah. I don't know what that's
I
about.
mean,
Good.
But it's very big in the Buddhist circle. That's when you will see men and women who like to watch, they like to watch the monks eat.
Mm.
They'll stand over them and watch them.
Mm. And you see this, that sometimes the say đó, so we donate the food. Oh, the woman see.
So the you can think about a table like this, but it would just be for one monk, like the teacher. And there'd be tons of different dishes. And so they watch which dish he eats. If they eat this, if they eat her dish or his dish.
Very good, right?
Yeah. How about honey? What you thinking about when you're cooking this food?
Mm.
What do you think in your mind?
Just what? To cooking.
No thinking,
Huh.
just cooking.
Huh.
Really?
Huh.
Wow. So it has the spiritual energy of non-thought.
How about put inside what the much before or what the much after something đó. Hả?
Because the Hindu,
Mm.
the Hare Krishna,
Mm.
they when they cooking, oh my God. When they cooking, they chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare. So then they say the food is a purified
Mm.
energy.
The cooking just so if honey in the observe that's the Dhamma directed medicine, honey can see anything in what honey cooking, how about honey feeling, or honey happy or not happy, or honey ID or not ID good
Really?
inside. Yeah.
Oh.
She's a red dish.
Mm.
The person, how about the Buddha? She cooking after she become Arahant. Just cooking.
Cook for the Buddha?
Cook the monk.
Oh.
The monk. And cook every day her observe and the practice meditation inside and cooking.
Boy.
So become Arahant.
Wow.
So honey can observe. Sometimes cooking, honey have a sometimes idea, oh, I want to do cooking very nice, but cooking not nice. This good. This because in my it's not good, so cooking is not good. So hungry, so cooking very, oh my God, salty or something. Very.
So when you cook this, you're very hungry.
So sometimes
I usually have the certain process when I eat. I want to have the good TV show or something, the good YouTube video, and I want to also I like to eat in bed. I don't like to eat sitting at the table, or sit on the floor hunched over. That's what I did a lot of times as a monk because you only eat once a day. So it's a big event, and then you go and you get all your food and you put on some YouTube video and you really enjoy a lot. You eat and eat and eat, and then you pass out. Because they say that the neuroscience of eating food is the same as sexual. Has the same oxytocin or dopamine or whatever. Yeah.
Is the food very good? It's good, but it honey in my is not good. So this food is not good. Sometimes food good, but my it not good. It's not good. Sometimes food is not not healthy, but the my honey very healthy and good. Okay, it's very good. It's
Make healthy.
yeah. Just your mind, right? I want to eat that.
Eat all, go to sleep.
Yes, go sleep. Oh, today Colin thì không before he come. We go to very late, right? Come very late, so cannot cook and cannot do anything.
Yeah, right before Cambodia.
Gotta get some of those Cambodian Zims.
I can ask around. I might have a link.
We called the bus station, and we said we get the order to the bus station, then the bus come over and they can send shipping to us.
Yeah.
But they said they worry if they do that.
Oh, the bus company that took you there
Yeah.
back. Can they?
Like when we came over, I had this bag of like
Just send one to one, the two box, not send the so much. You talk that.
but so I had this bag, and then we had to go through the Vietnamese check or whatever. So I just left the bag in the bus. And then we went through. But I think even if you brought the bag in your backpack, they're not scanning for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the status of those is.
No, honey, tag is okay, but we carry sometimes the one the person send the cocaine or say so very good that.
Did you ever have the supernatural experience, Colin?
I don't think so.
How about you, Hong? You have supernatural experience? The magic experience? You have? What happened?
The honey want to know.
You tell me right now.
I cannot talk.
Really?
The same honey eat, so I feel in that, but honey cannot feel in that. So I cannot talk.
Okay.
How that, right? Just talk, but honey not experience that. Just here.
So no use talking about it.
It's good, but you can understand how about it. You can, so you don't, how about your mind, the cleaning and not detachment so many. So you understand how the problem your mind.
Go.
About how I say when honey experience in the right medicine, honey see the mind. So honey understand why honey suffering and what the mat honey the suffering and honey can cut that. Because honey see the just. So not have problem in the mind.
It come up, it happening, you cut, finish.
Yeah. Well, want to see that very suffering. So suffering in the how about sometimes I thought suffering is a teaching me in the sense that if want to have the wisdom, honey need to have the suffering.
If you want to have the wisdom, you need to have the suffering.
Yes, suffering is the teaching. Yeah, in the teacher. But honey not have suffering, honey not understand anything. But suffering, but honey need the rest and honey experience that and study that. So this is not happen. So I think very fast.
Because I don't like that.
Oh.
Possessions.
I don't like it so much. I don't like
Just distribution of wealth,
After
environment.
that.
eat
It's
fast
not
and belly
your
full and
oil.
good feeling and
who
finish.
owns the oil, not British Petroleum, not Sinclair, right? They're just
Not
the
fast, not
warlords that
slow.
grabbed it and then turned their guns out.
Anything he thought he
So,
not
right? So when you don't allow yourself to even indulge in thoughts of greed, then you think, yeah, I have enough. I am grateful. Share the blessings. Hallelujah. Number 3, if I don't indulge thoughts of seeking, I can keep that third precept purely, and I clarify all kinds of issues regarding relationships, sexuality, fidelity in marriage, family bonds, gender identities, right? Because I don't seek, I allow what comes without, and I'm content with the causes that I have planted. Meanwhile, I plant wholesome causes for the future. 2 more. No thoughts of selfishness can prevent lying. It clarifies issues of communication and integrity. Leaders in public and private sectors, you can hear when they're not telling you the truth. Boy, if I watch myself to not even allow selfish thoughts when people are lying to you in public life, you hear it so clearly, right? Fox News, it becomes propaganda. Oh my goodness. So if you are if you're a leader in the public or private sector,
I'm not good
and
at eating
you
the
are
fish.
tuned in to that thought of
Find
selfishness
the
that
bones
rises up,
so it
and
goes
every
slow.
time you say, I speak for
Sometimes I want to
community,
eat slow. I cannot eat.
I speak for the whole, then the words you say just ring. People hear it. They go, I like the way you talk. That makes sense to me. You can speak for me. I will vote for you. Okay? Then selfishness, personal advantage, clarifies issues of addiction, alcoholism, and all the things that come from alcoholism, the courts, the broken families, right? Reality-based exploration of consciousness versus distortion-based. Because why? You are not interested in personal advantage that leads to changing your states or intoxicants. You want to share, you want to serve, and as a result, all of this stuff, all that trouble, you avoid. And then no thoughts of lying, stands by itself. Interestingly, precepts 1 through